Welcome to This Explainer. Today, we're diving into a truly revolutionary book that I came across, and honestly, it challenges pretty much everything we thought we knew about heaven, science, and even the architecture of our own souls. We are going to be unpacking the sixth day of Eden, which is this profound integration of theology and modern science by Dr. Ryo-Young-dae Kim. If you've ever felt, a disconnect between rational 21st century thinking and traditional faith, or if you just want to understand your own spiritual makeup a little better, this explainer is designed exactly for you. Let's get into it. Look, let's start by just acknowledging the deep spiritual fatigue that a lot of modern believers are feeling right now. For about 1,500 years, we've had this specific narrative dominating the conversation. The idea that this physical life is essentially just a really difficult, fear-based waiting room for the afterlife. Dr. Kim offers this incredibly powerful analogy in the book. Just imagine a person sitting in a cold, hard chair in a waiting room for decades, just enduring absolute misery because they've been told there's a massive reward waiting right behind the door. And then after a whole lifetime of waiting, they realize their entire existence was spent just in the waiting room. If heaven is only behind that door after death, then no matter how earnest we are, our life here is literally just a painful delay. But what if that perspective is just fundamentally flawed? Okay, so let's completely flip the script here. The author uses a core biblical premise to argue that heaven is actually not some distant, geographically remote place that you jet off to after you die. Instead, it's a reality that's present right now, directly inside of you. When Jesus said the kingdom of God is within you, he was inviting us into a present reality. Salvation isn't just about crossing some threshold after you die. It's about entering the path of heaven right here, right now in your everyday life. But to understand how we kind of lost this joyous perspective in the first place, we have to look back. Which brings us to Section 1, the Third Reformation, shifting from fear to love. Tracing a religious history actually reveals a pretty fascinating journey. Back in the first century, Jesus initiated this profound shift away from the rigid fear of the law toward a universal focus on love, essentially turning God from a distant, terrifying absolute into an intimate father. Fast forward to the 16th century, and reformers like Martin Luther stripped away those thick institutional barriers, giving everyday people direct access to God and the scriptures. Amazing, right? But there was a missing piece. That 16th century Reformation didn't quite remove the underlying motivation of fear. And that brings us to today, the 21st century, and what Dr. Kim calls the Third Reformation of the Millennium Christian. This is the crucial shift we're making away from fear-based dogma and moving fully into universal love, all while being armed with the knowledge of modern science. Let's move on to Section 2, the divine fragment. This is all about the inner architecture of you. So, who are you, really? To grasp how we can actually access this present heaven today, Dr. Kim breaks humanity down into a 4-layer model. First up, you have the body, which is literally made from elements forged in the hearts of stars over 138 billion years. It's literal stardust. But biology tells us our cells regenerate entirely every 7 years, so your body clearly isn't your permanent self. Second, we have the mind, or the ego. This is the part of you that observes and makes daily decisions, but obviously that's constantly changing too. Third is the soul, which grows, matures, and deepens through your life experiences. But because all 3 of these outer layers change and grow, none of them represent your absolute eternal core. So what does? That brings us to the 4th layer. Right at the very center of your being is the divine fragment. This is that breath of life mentioned back in Genesis. It's the unchangeable, eternal essence of the Creator, and it's already existing deep within you. It's not something you have to earn through good behavior, and get this, it cannot be destroyed by your mistakes. It acts as an inner compass, constantly broadcasting the frequency of divine love. Your spiritual growth is simply the process of aligning those other layers, your body, mind, and soul, to this eternal fragment. All right, Section 3, Love in the Universe. Let's expand this out to the macro view. Expanding from our inner selves all the way out to the macro universe, the author introduces this honestly mind-blowing concept, ELF, or the Eden Love Field. Think about how modern physics views the universe today. It's not just empty space, right? It's filled with fields, like gravitational or electromagnetic fields. Well, ELF proposes that God's love is also an omnipresent field, woven directly into the very fabric of 4D space-time. By utilizing concepts like quantum entanglement, where two particles are connected instantly regardless of the distance between them, we can actually begin to visualize how this beautiful field of love seamlessly connects the entire universe directly to your inner divine fragment right here, right now. Now hold on, it is absolutely vital to clarify this point so we don't get sidetracked. ELF is a heuristic metaphor. The author is not claiming that God's love is a literal physical equation that we can measure in a laboratory with scientific instruments. Rather, it's this brilliant conceptual bridge. It uses the language of 21st century physics to explain incredibly deep spiritual philosophy. It maintains that intellectual rigor for the modern scientific mind, while beautifully highlighting the reality of God's inescapable presence everywhere in the universe. Which brings us to Section 4, the Tree of Knowledge and White Pain, Navigating Our Daily Choices. So how do we actually connect with this field of love in our messy, everyday lives? Amidst all our stress and decisions, the book totally reframes the story of the Tree of Knowledge. It's not just some ancient story about the past. It's a metaphor for the choices you face today. Every single day, you stand in front of your own personal tree of knowledge, and you have to choose between two types of pain. First, there's dark pain. This is when you choose easy shortcuts driven by fear. It looks sweet at first, but it always results in spiritual emptiness, anxiety, and just this nagging feeling of meaninglessness. Then there's white pain. This is making the difficult, righteous choices driven by love. Think of it like lifting weights at the gym. It's a voluntary, positive struggle. Yeah, it might be hard in the moment, but it results in profound spiritual growth and genuine, deep joy. When you actively choose that white pain over fear-based shortcuts, you initiate this beautiful process. First, your inner divine fragment falls into perfect resonance with the universe's love field, that LF we talked about. This alignment brings an unexplainable inner joy and fulfillment that simply doesn't depend on your external circumstances. It naturally leads to the true maturation of your body, mind, and soul. And honestly, the best part is that this joy naturally spills over. It expands your capacity for love and transforms your relationships, creating what the book calls ecclesia, which is a true, loving community where the spiritual energy undergoes a sort of nuclear fusion, exponentially multiplying among the people you share your life with. And that leads us to Section 5. Eden is here and now. The sixth day continues. This brings us to a grand conclusion that completely redefines the present moment. We are not just killing time on Earth, guys. The book asserts that the sixth day of creation, the day humanity was made to cultivate the Earth, is not actually over. You are living in Eden right now. You are an active participant in an ongoing, beautiful creation. God is not some distant judge just waiting for you at the end of a long, miserable life. God is an intimate force of love present with you in this exact moment, actively inviting you to create heaven on earth through your daily choices, your work, and your relationships. I want to leave you with this final provocative thought to really challenge your paradigm. If you're intrigued by this modern, scientifically grounded yet deeply spiritual vision, I highly, highly encourage you to go pick up Dr. Kim's book, The Sixth Day of Eden. It is an incredible read that invites you to step fully into this new reality. As you go about your life today, ask yourself, when you stand in front of your own tree of knowledge, which path are you going to choose? Are you going to let fear guide you, or will you embrace the white pain of love and step into the Eden that is already here? Thank you so much for joining me on this explainer. Keep learning, keep questioning, and I'll catch you next time.